She never knew about me. She thought that she was an only child for her entire life.
Oh.
So finding out that she has an older sister, that came as kind of like a shock to her. She just told me, it's like, she needs time, she needs space, and I get that,
Yeah.
It's like I can't imagine thinking that you're an only child for your entire life, and then finding, boom, you have an older sister.
Who am I?
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 This is Who Am I, Really? A podcast about adoptees that have located and connected with their biological family members. I'm Damon Davis, and on today's show is Dana. She called me from Ohio, a state we know has open adoption records. Dana shares her story of growing up with two younger siblings, biological to her parents, but feeling equally loved by her parents. She tells the heartbreaking story of learning that she would never meet her biological mother, and the near miss of a second heartbreak with her suspected biological father. Luckily, Dana was able to recover from some misinformation to learn her father's identity. This is Dana's journey. Dana grew up in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. Originally, her mother didn't think she could have children, but after Dana's adoption, their family did expand naturally.
My adopted mom had a series of miscarriages, and she was told that she would never have see a child of her own to full term. So she put in an application through Catholic Charities, and they called her right on her birthday, and they told her that we have this little girl here. She's French and Serbian. We know that your husband is. Would you like to come look at her? My parents were really excited. They go, of course, yeah, we want to come take a look at her. So they went into the orphanage. I think it was St. John's Children's Home in Cleveland, Ohio. Mm-hmm. And they took a look at me, and my mom said there was kind of love at first sight. And they took me home on my mom's birthday. So
oh wow!
Every year on her birthday, we celebrated a cake for her and then a cake for me, because that was our gotcha day.
Wow!
And I love it. It was never kept a secret from me. It was never hidden. My mom actually did go on to have a baby to full term. That's my sister, mm-hmm. and also a son to full term. So I have an adopted brother and sister, and it was pretty cool because when my mom was pregnant with my sister, they actually came up for adoption for a second time because she wanted a sibling for me, and the social worker called her, and my mom goes, well, I can't do this now. I'm pregnant. And she goes, well, since I know you had such a hard time keeping babies to full term, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put your case down at the bottom of the file. I want you to call me when that baby's born. And my mom did, and my social worker actually came out to see me and my sister when my sister was born. So
oh, that's
I thought that was really, really sweet that she did that and everything,
That is really sweet. That's incredibly thoughtful. Boy, she's the right person for that kind of job, huh?
Exactly.
That's really neat. Dana's sister is 3 years younger than her, and her brother is 11 years younger. She acknowledges that there was a significant age gap between herself and her brother, but they were all treated equally. You may have heard Dana say that her family was told she was French and Serbian. When people ask her about her heritage, she refers to her adopted mother's Polish heritage and tells people that she's legally Polish. I was curious about what differences Dana may have noticed between herself and her family members. Her sister was an athlete, but Dana lacks the hand-eye coordination her sister has. And while it's not typically thought of as a family trait, she thinks she probably picked up her interest in sci-fi from her adopted father, because they used to watch Star Trek together.
My parents have always been amazing and supportive, so mm-hmm. even when I first talked about going after and looking for my biological parents, they've just been wonderful and amazing.
That's really great.
As far as physical appearance, everybody told me growing up that it's they couldn't believe that I was adopted because I look so much like my like my adopted mom and my sister. So it's like, it's like I never saw any difference.
It sounded to me like Dana was pretty comfortable in her home where everyone was loved and treated equally. So I wondered why she ever bothered to look for her biological family. She told me that 3 years ago, when the state of Ohio opened adoption records for those born in the 1970s, she couldn't fight the inner curiosity she's always had.
Even though I was always accepted, I was always treated like equally and like loving everything, I always had the questions. It's like I wondered like if I looked like my birth mom, it's like I wondered what she was like. I wondered why exactly she gave me up for adoption. So it's like, even though you always have like those questions in the back of your head when you're an adoptee, even growing up like, in a like a wonderful environment, you always wonder. So when I heard that they were, releasing the original birth certificates, the first person I contacted was my adopted mom, and I go, this is something I really want to do because it's like I've always wondered, I've always been curious. And she's told me that, Dana, if this is something that you want to do, go for it. She goes, if I was in your shoes, I would have gone for it too, because it's like I would have always been curious too. And she also told me that she felt like if they did a good enough job like raising me, that it's like I would never want to leave them or abandon them. And I just laughed. I go, Mom, it's like never. You're my parents.
Mm-hmm.
You've loved me. You've raised me. It's like, why would I even think that?
So for $20, Dana sent in her notarized adoption records paperwork. 7 months later, her original birth certificate arrived in the mail. It only had her birth mother's name on it. The birth father's name wasn't there. So Dana's husband, supporting his wife's desire for information, joined the search.
My husband has been like amazing and supportive too. He actually went online like the day that we got it. I had to take my son to like a Cub Scout meeting, but he went on it the day that we got it, and he found her. We found out some information on her. Unfortunately, the first thing that we found when we Googled her name was we found her obituary.
Oh.
So she had passed away about like 2 years prior to making my original birth certificate. We found out later that she passed away from ALS. And I also learned that that's something that runs in the family, too.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah.
Wow, that must have been so sad to see that you just missed her by 2 years.
Tears, I know. That was just devastating.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that's like mad at the state of Ohio. It's like, why couldn't you like cut the red tape and get it done quicker so that way maybe I could have met her?
You probably remember the acronym ALS from the viral sensation Ice Bucket Challenge, promoting awareness of the affliction, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. But more importantly, ALS is a rare but deadly nervous system disease that weakens the muscles and impacts physical function. Its full name is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Dana learned that her mother lived in Colorado, was married, and had another daughter, Dana's sister. The obituary revealed that her family had an aunt and uncle who passed away. Her maternal grandparents were deceased, but there was one living aunt, about 13 years younger than her mother, who was still alive. But making contact with that aunt meant she was reaching out to someone who may or may not know that she exists.
And then it took me about like a year before I finally had the courage to write a letter to her. It's
really?
Like, I'm over like I didn't know how to begin. It's like, how do I reach out to her? What do I say to her? So what I did was I sent her. We also found a high school picture from my mom from her senior year of high school, and I sent her a picture of that. I sent her a picture of myself, and there's no denying that I'm her daughter. I mean, we look that much alike in the pictures. It was almost like looking like in a mirror when I saw that. So it's like I sent that along to her, and she called me about like a week after she got the letter, and she goes, "Yeah, Dana, I'm your aunt. You're my niece."
In the letter, Dana told her aunt, whose middle name is Marie, that her birth mother named her Marie when she was born, a unique fact that legitimized her identity against any skepticism. I asked Dana if her aunt knew of her existence. Her aunt admitted that even with more than a decade of an age gap between them, she had her suspicions.
When she saw her and everything, she knows like certain things, like like the growing belly, and she said that like there were just like little things that she knows when they would get together, and then all of a sudden, she didn't look pregnant anymore, and the baby was gone. So, she never asked, but she suspected.
Connecting with a relative can be really fulfilling, but you're forced to formulate a picture of the person you didn't get to meet through the words of others. I asked Dana what she learned about her mother from her aunt.
She told me that my birth mother was very, very smart. She was actually a college student and very, very smart, but she also told me that my birth mom didn't exactly make the best decisions when it came to men, when it came to guys.
Mm-hmm.
She said that she was like kind of quiet, a little bit shy.
Gotcha.
But like very, very, very sweet, very loving. She said that the way that she was raised, her sister would have never ever thought about having an abortion with me and everything. That wasn't the way that the family was brought up. And I told her, it's like the one thing that I wish I could have told her is just thank you. It's like you gave me so many opportunities, and you brought me into this world. Thank you. So
yeah, that's right, and that's a sad thing not to be able to at least write to someone or look them in the face and tell them. Dana's aunt was pretty sure she knew Dana's birth father's identity. She used her Ancestry.com account to investigate the man's name.
I searched the name that she gave me, and what I found out was that the name that she gave me, this guy, Milorad, they called him Mida, had passed away. So that was hard. That was heartbreaking to see that.
Man, that's two. Yikes.
Yeah.
She wasn't able to find out much about Milo, except that he migrated to the United States from Serbia in the 1970s. Dana tracked down the man's brother, who had some information to share and some skepticism about their familial connection.
We met up and he gave me the family tree that he printed up for me, and I showed him like my ancestry DNA thing, and he kept telling his wife, it's like, well, something doesn't add up. I'm not sure if Milo was actually her birth father or not. So his wife goes, well, you have to tell Dana, you have to let her know, because what if there's a man out there who's wondering what happened to his daughter? So he called me and he goes, I don't think your Aunt Jill's like necessarily the best source of information when it comes to your birth father. So he goes, don't take this the wrong way, but it's like, I just don't want you thinking that, that your birth father passed away and that's the end of it. So I'm over here like, okay, how do I take this? What do I do next?
Right.
So I decided to go onto my ancestry DNA matches because I hadn't checked them out in a while. And believe it or not, I actually found a parent-child match.
Wow.
Right on top. Yeah.
What did you think? I mean, tell me about the moment when you saw that.
I was in shock. I'm over here like, okay, first I find out that Milo isn't my birth father, and then I see this. The guy's name is Jay, and I would find out that yes, he is my biological father, but like seeing that, it's like, it was a roller coaster of emotions going from thinking that my birth father had passed away to finding out that no, that's not the right guy. He's still alive.
Shocked by the news, energized to make contact with the man, but unsure how to approach this incredible situation, Dana contacted her Uncle Steve for advice. He sensed her nervousness and uncertainty about how to proceed and offered to contact her birth father for her. After Steve made the call, he texted Dana to say,
just wanted to let you know I talked to Jay, and yes, he is your birth father. He's going to call you, but first he wants to call some family members, and he wants to tell his 4 sons about you. So I found out they have 4 half-brothers, too.
Wow.
So...
Dang.
So,
wow, that was really cool of him to call him.
Yeah, that was just wonderful.
Man.
And I will forever be grateful to them for they did that.
Oh, absolutely. Jay followed up with a text that said the same thing. He wanted to be in touch with her, but he needed to share the news with his family. A day or so later, Jay finally called. Dana works in early childhood development, so she's constantly around toddlers. She says that working around children, she is frequently exposed to their sicknesses. So, unfortunately, on the day Jay called, she had laryngitis.
I tried my best to talk to him, and then I listened. I listened to everything they told me about my birth mom.
So tell me about the call. What did he say? What kinds of things did he convey to you?
Well, he told me that my birth mom and him worked together. They worked in different departments, but they worked in the same office building.
Okay.
He also said that he kind of had like a little bit of a crush on her, like all along. He thought that she was just like this older, exotic woman, and finally he got the nerve to ask her out. He drove a motorcycle at the time, so one day he just went up to her and he goes, "You want to go for a ride on my motorcycle?" So that's how there was the first date. There was the first date. Yeah. And he also told me that they dated for 3 months. They fought like crazy, but it was just like this intense relationship.
Jay would spend the night at her place, and they would go into the office together the next morning. Rumors flew about whether they were a couple or not, and the pair just looked at one another and laughed. Then Dana's mother broke up with Jay. They ran into one another on the street several months later.
She was very, very visibly pregnant with him, and she told him, "Don't worry about it, it's not yours." So she pretty much said to Jay that I wasn't his daughter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, wow. I wonder what made her do that. I guess because she broke up with him, she didn't want to feel tied to him still.
Tied to him. That's one of my birth dads and everything thinks too. We've texted each other back and forth on this. I wish that's another question for her. I wish that I could ask her, why did you tell him that? But we can only speculate,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's done is done. So how was your conversation with him? How did you feel?
It was amazing, just wonderful. He's just this very loving, caring guy. I think he definitely respects that my adoptive parents are my parents. So he just told me to call him Jay. It's he goes, "You don't have to call me Dad, just call me Jay." So that's what I do.
That's really cool. When we talked, Dana and Jay had not met. He lives in Minnesota, and since she's in Ohio, they've contemplated meeting somewhere in between their homes, like Chicago. I asked her how their relationship has been from a distance so far.
The relationship is just wonderful and amazing. I call or text him every time a question pops into my head, and he'll text me right back. He put me into contact with all 4 of my half brothers, and they have just been wonderful. They've always wanted a sister, all 4 of them.
Really?
So
you're like, here I am.
Yeah, exactly. My one half brother, I'm friends with all 4 of them on Facebook now, and he messaged me one day, my half brother Jeremy, and he goes, "So how's my favorite sister?" I'm over haha, I'm your only sister.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
She's friends with her brothers on Facebook, and Dana's aunt says she can see the resemblance between them. Dana's picked up on some similarities in their interests, from liking the same foods to an appreciation for classic rock. She learned that Jay and one of his sons, Dana's brother, both played trumpet when they were younger, and so does Dana's son. One of her brothers is getting married in Florida, and the other brothers are thinking about driving down for the event. Dana can't make it, but she told the trio that if they drove through Ohio, she'd love to have them stay with her and her family for a night. Going back to her birth mother, I asked Dana if she had plans to pay her respects one day. Let me ask you, going back to your mom, do you have plans to visit her grave or anything along those lines?
I wish I could, but she was cremated. And the one person who would know what happened to her ashes is my half sister. And my relationship with her hasn't been as welcoming as has been with my half brothers. She never knew about me. She thought that she was an only child for her entire life.
Oh.
So finding out that she has an older sister, that came as kind of a shock to her. She just told me it's she needs time. She she needs space, and I get that, you know.
Yeah.
It's like I can't imagine thinking that you're an only child for like for your entire life, and then finding, boom, you have an older sister.
Yeah.
So
Wow. How crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's challenging regardless when you find out that you've got any sibling that you didn't know about. But to find out, you know, that you've gone from not being an only anymore to having an older, that is a lot to swallow. How are you sort of managing the relationship? Do you just sort of text her periodically to say hi and try to, you know, keep in contact and just show that you're a nice person? Or are you just giving her complete space to try to figure out where she wants to go?
I'll text her like on an occasion. One of the things I decided to do once we realized that ALS runs in on her side of the family and my biological mom's side of the family was I decided to have genetic testing done, because for my sake and for the sake of my sons, like I want to know if I have that gene.
Sure.
So I messaged her and I told her that I would keep her in contact with her and everything, and I go, I still understand. I want to give you your space and everything, but I just wanted to let you know, and I'll let you know how the testing goes. And she goes, thank you for understanding. Thank you for giving me my space, and yeah, good luck with the testing, and definitely let me know. So it's like I'll do like little things like that, but it's like I'm not gonna inundate her with questions yet.
Yeah.
When she's ready to talk to me, she will, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're taking the right approach, I think. You got to give her the time and space to consume the whole thing and really let it sit comfortably with her. And hopefully one day she'll reach out and try to make some deeper contact with you. Dana hadn't done the genetic test yet when we spoke. For insurance to approve the test, she has to meet with a psychologist, then a neurologist, then hopefully she'll be approved for testing. I asked her how she felt when she first found out about the prevalence of ALS in her genes.
When I first found out about it and realized that it's something that happens in every generation, so we found out there was familial ALS. So when we first realized it, my husband was the one that kind of encouraged me to get tested. He goes, you know, because there's a 25% chance, I guess, that I could have the gene, 50% chance that my son could have it if I have it. Mm-hmm. So for his sake, for my sake, it's like I want to know. I need to know.
Yeah, that's it's great when you are able to finally figure out some of the things that you are genetically predisposed to, so that you can at least have awareness, if not take preventative action, so as to you know, lead a higher quality of life for longer. Yep. You know what I mean? So that's really great that you have that information, as you know, sort of potentially scary as it might be. I'm glad that you're proactively seeking out some additional knowledge about what it means for you and your family. That's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Like, the way that I figured, I met with a genetic counselor from the Cleveland Clinic, and she told me that, like, even if I don't have the gene, they can use the data in case my son wants to get tested someday. Like, he cannot get tested legally until he turns 18, because they won't do it in adult onset disease until after he turns 18. But it's like, if he decides that he wants to do it someday, they can use that information to look for the gene in him. Mm-hmm. So either way, it's like, you know, I think this will be a good thing.
Dana's adoptive parents told her that if a search was something she felt she needed to do, she should go for it. But sometimes what people say and what's in their heart are incongruous. Fortunately, Dana's adoptive parents continue to be supportive.
Oh, they've been wonderful. They've been just like awesome. My mom was teasing me like a little bit, and she goes, so with all your 4 half brothers, you're still kind of surrounded by boys, aren't you, Dana? And I'm over like, yep, because I have all little boys in my classroom. I live with my husband, my son, and my brother-in-law. So it's like, yeah, I guess I am surrounded by boys.
That's
so that's okay. But yeah, both of them have just been awesome. And my Uncle Steve, my parents were in town for Easter, and my Uncle Steve really wanted to meet them. So he came over for dessert, and we were just kind of hanging around talking, and he told my parents that, boy, you've done a wonderful job with Dana. She's pretty awesome. And I go, it's like, yeah, I wasn't that awesome when I was a teenager, but thanks.
That's pretty funny. Wow. I'm glad, Dana, that everything has gone so well for you. I mean, I'm really sorry that you weren't able to come face to face with your biological mother, but it sounds like you got some answers and you've learned both who she is and finally figured out who your biological father is. And it sounds like almost everybody is doing just fine with the news of your reemergence.
They are.
That's good.
It's just been awesome.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
To think that I was so nervous and scared about sending out the first contact letter, but it's like I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have sent that out, it's like I wouldn't have came in contact with like all these wonderful, amazing people. So all these wonderful, amazing families. So
wow, that's so cool. Dana, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you telling me your story.
No problem.
It's good to talk to you. Take care. All the best.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Hey, it's me. Reflecting on Dana's journey, I was glad to hear that she felt comfortable with her upbringing in her adoptive family. It's not always easy to get along with your family, even when you're biologically related. So it was good to hear that Dana felt loved as equally as the other children. It was sad to hear that she just missed possibly meeting her birth mother by only 2 years when Ohio's adoption records were finally opened. But I couldn't help thinking that it might have been really tough if Dana had met her mother in the final stages of ALS. Or if Ohio never opened their adoption records and she had to travel a long, arduous road to even discover her mother's identity. And I can only imagine the initial heartbreak of learning that her suspected biological father was also deceased, only to learn that he was the wrong man and that Jay was alive and wanted to meet her. I followed up with Dana to see how things were going. Here's a piece of her email reply. I met Jay and his wife for the first time in person in August when he decided to take a road trip to his son's wedding in Key West. He's amazing and awesome, and there's a part of me that is a little angry with my biological mother for how she treated him, but I know in my heart that it all worked out for the best. Oh, and we're booking a trip to visit my half-brother and his husband for Christmas at their home in Key West, so this will be the best Christmas ever. I'm Damon Davis, and I hope you'll find something in Dana's journey that inspires you, validates your feelings about wanting to search, or motivates you to have the strength along your journey to learn. Who am I, really? If you would like to share your adoption journey and your attempt to connect with your biological family, please visit whoamireallypodcast.com/share. You can choose to share your whole story, maintain some privacy about parts of your journey, or share completely anonymously. You can find the show at facebook.com/WAIReally or follow me on Twitter at WAIReally. And please, if you like the show, you can support me at patreon.com/WAIReally. You can subscribe to Who Am I Really on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. And while you're there, it would mean so much to me if you would take a moment to share a rating or leave a comment. Those ratings can help others to find the podcast too.